The sun burned hot over the alien marketplace. Shops were loud. Creatures shouted, machines beeped. Vendors called out prices. But no one looked at the tired alien mother standing near the edge of the street. Her name was Rila. She held her small child close. The baby's skin was pale. His tiny fingers clutched her robe. His eyes looked up at her, hungry and weak. Rila hadn't eaten in 2 days. Her child hadn't eaten in 1. She walked to a food stall. "Please," she said, voice dry and shaking. "I'll work, I'll clean, I'll lift, anything, just a little food." The alien vendor, a thick, horned male, looked at her with disgust. "No jobs for your kind," he said, spitting on the ground. Rila bowed her head. "Please, go," he shouted. People nearby stared. Some laughed. Some turned their heads. Rila stepped back, holding her baby tight. She moved to the next stall. A mechanic's table full of parts. "Please. I know machines. I can fix things." The old alien female behind the table didn't even look up. "I don't hire widows, especially not alien widows." Rila tried again and again. 10 shops, 20. Each one gave the same answer. No. Some were cruel, some were afraid, some just didn't care. Her child whimpered in her arms. Rila's legs felt weak, her vision blurred. She tried to walk, but her feet dragged. Her body swayed. Then, she collapsed. Her knees hit the hot ground. Her baby cried louder now. People passed her by. No one stopped, except one human. His name was Callan. He was quiet, standing at the far end of the marketplace. He wore dusty clothes and gloves stained with oil. Most people didn't notice him. He ran a small scrapyard outside the city wall. A man of few words, fewer friends, but his eyes were sharp. And today those eyes were locked on Rila. He had watched her try again and again. He had seen her beg. He had seen the baby's face. Too thin, too tired. Now he walked forward, slowly. People stepped back. Some whispered. Callan knelt beside her. "Are you all right?" he asked gently. Rila looked up, confused. No one had spoken kindly to her in weeks. I just need a job," she whispered. "Please. I don't want charity. Just work. Anything." Callan looked at the crying child, then at her trembling hands. He said nothing for a moment. Then he stood. "Come with me." People watched as the human helped the alien widow to her feet. One alien spat. "Traitor!" Another laughed. "Enjoy feeding her. She'll bleed you dry." Callan didn't respond. He just walked, slow and steady, with Rila behind him, barefoot, hungry, but holding her baby close. They reached the edge of the city. A tall fence surrounded a junkyard filled with broken machines, scrap metal, and old starship parts. A big sign hung crooked. "Karen Scrap and Repair." He opened the gate. "This is my place," he said. Rila looked around, unsure. "You can sleep in the tool shed for now," Callan continued. "There's food inside. Eat, rest. If you feel better, tomorrow, we'll talk about work." Her lips parted. You mean it?" He nodded. Rila's knees gave again, but this time not from weakness. From shock. "Thank you," she whispered. He didn't say, "You're welcome." He just turned and walked deeper into the scrapyard. That night, Rila sat on a soft mat inside a small metal shed. It wasn't much, but it was dry and safe. Her child slept peacefully in her lap, a full belly for the first time in days. She looked at the warm food dish beside her and touched it like it was treasure. Tears rolled down her cheeks. No one had helped her. No one had believed in her. Until now. Human. A stranger. A man who gave her no promises but gave her something more important. A chance. She looked out the open door of the shed, toward the stars above. She didn't know why he helped her, but deep in her heart something whispered. This was not just luck. This was the beginning. The sun rose slowly over the scrapyard. Soft orange light touched the piles of metal and broken ship parts. Dust hung in the air like a gentle fog. Callan was already awake, welding something by a half-dead engine, sparks flying around him. Inside the small shed, Rila opened her eyes. For a moment she forgot where she was. No shouting, no cold street, no fear. Then she saw her child, still asleep beside her, warm and full. It wasn't a dream. They had survived the night. She sat up slowly and stepped outside. The ground was rough under her bare feet, but the sun felt good. She looked around, unsure if she should speak. Callan didn't look up. "There's bread and water in the blue box," he said, still working. Rila nodded and walked to the box. She ate slowly, carefully saving half the bread for her son. After a while, Callan turned off the torch and finally looked at her. "You still want to work?" he asked. Rila stood tall, eyes firm. "Yes. I don't want to live for free." Callan tossed her a pair of old gloves. "Then start by clearing that corner. Metal goes in the red bin. Wires in the green, trash in the black." She caught the gloves and looked at the giant pile. It was huge. Her arms ached just looking at it, but she nodded. "I'll do it." And she began. The hours passed. Rila worked without stopping. She bent, lifted, pulled, sorted. Her hands got dirty, her back hurt, but she didn't complain. Callan watched her from time to time. She wasn't strong, but she was focused, careful, smart. She moved like someone who had fixed machines before, someone who remembered how things fit together, even if she hadn't touched tools in years. By sunset, half the corner was clean. Callan gave a small nod. "You can stay," he said simply. Rila turned to him, her face red with dust and sweat. "Thank you." Again, he didn't say "you're welcome," he just walked away. That night, after putting her child to sleep, Rila sat alone near the fire drum Callan lit for heat. She looked out over the scrapyard. The stars above blinked quietly. For the first time in a long time, she felt something warm in her chest, not food, not fire. Hope. But then, she felt something else, eyes, watching. She turned fast. Nothing. Just metal piles and shadows. But she was sure someone had been there. A presence. A shift in the air. A cold feeling in her spine. She stood alert, picked up a metal bar and stepped carefully around the nearest scrap heap. Nothing. Still, her skin itched like danger was near. The next morning, she told Callan, "I think someone was here, watching me." He didn't laugh. He just said, "Describe what you felt." Rila frowned. Heavy, like the air was colder, like something dark. Callan went silent for a moment. Then he nodded slowly. "You might have felt the old machine." She looked confused. "What old machine?" He pointed to the back of the yard, under the rust pile. "It's buried. Was dropped off by smugglers years ago. No ID, no power. But sometimes it hums, like it remembers." Rila's eyes narrowed. "Can I see it?" He hesitated, then nodded. They walked to the far end of the scrapyard. Under broken wings and bent beams, Callan pulled back a tarp. And there it was. A strange metal shape, curved like a half moon, with symbols glowing faintly along the sides. It didn't look like human tech, or any tech Rila knew. She stepped closer. Her hand hovered over the surface. It was warm, alive. "I've seen this kind of marking before," she whispered, "back on my homeworld, before the war." Callan looked at her. "You sure?" She nodded. "This isn't a machine. It's a memory keeper, a living one. It records thoughts, emotions, voices." He stared at it, thinking. "So it watched you yesterday?" Rila shivered. "Maybe. Or maybe It remembered someone like me. As they walked back, Rila felt uneasy. This place was more than it seemed, a scrapyard, a hiding place. And now? Something was awake, something old, something watching, and maybe, just maybe, something waiting. The next few days moved quietly. Rila worked from sunrise to sunset. She cleaned, sorted, fixed old panels, and learned the scrapyard's layout like the back of her hand. Her child played near the tool shed, safe behind fences and junk walls. Callan said little, but each day he brought her small things. A clean blanket, better tools, shoes that almost fit. To Rila, these were not just gifts, they were signs. Signs that she was earning her place, that her hard work meant something, that this was no longer survival. It was the beginning of a new life. But the scrapyard had its own secrets, and one of them was waking up. Late one night, Rila heard it again, a sound. Faint, mechanical, like a whisper inside metal. She stepped outside her shed, pulling her coat tight around her shoulders. The stars above blinked, cold and silent. The yard was still. But then, creak, tick, tick, hiss. She turned toward the old rust pile, the same pile where the strange half-moon machine rested beneath the tarp. It was glowing again. Soft blue lines pulsed across its surface. Rila walked closer, one hand near her tool belt. "Is someone there?" she asked. No answer. But the air felt charged. She reached out and touched the metal. At first, nothing. Then her mind filled with images, fast, blurry, a city on fire, ships crashing, a crying child, a voice, alien, female, begging, "Please, someone, help us." Rila yanked her hand back, gasping. "What was that?" She ran to Callan's workroom. He was welding a broken fuel cell, goggles over his eyes. She burst in. "It showed me something." He looked up slowly. "The machine?" She nodded. "It's not just remembering things, it's reaching out." Callan removed his goggles. "That's dangerous." "No," Rila said firmly. "It's a warning." The next morning, the danger became real. When Rila stepped outside her shed, she stopped cold. A mark had been carved into the wall of the scrapyard. A sharp symbol, burned deep into the metal with plasma fire. She knew it instantly. A double claw, crossed over a bleeding eye. Her hands shook. She backed away. Breath quick. "Who did this?" she whispered. It was the mark of a Reaper clan, a violent alien group that hated her species, the same group that had hunted her husband. She rushed to Callan's shack. He saw her coming, saw the panic on her face, and stepped outside before she could knock. "They found me," she said, voice cracking. "They know I'm here." Callan's eyes darkened. "Show me." He followed her to the marked wall. He stared at the burn, said nothing for a long moment, then turned to her. "Pack your things." Her eyes widened. "You're sending me away?" "No," he said. "You're moving inside. Near the workshop, more walls, better locks." She blinked. "You're keeping us here?" He nodded. "This is my yard. They don't get to run people off it." Tears stung her eyes. "Why are you doing this? Why are you helping me?" Callan looked down. "I had a sister once. She begged for help in the wrong place. No one came." He turned and walked away, back toward the gate. "Let's make sure someone comes this time." That night, Rila didn't sleep. She sat by her son's bed, watching him breathe. The shed near Callan's workshop was warmer, safer, but her heart was heavy. The Reaper clan was close. She could feel them in the wind. And the half-moon machine. It pulsed again, soft, calling her. She walked to the rust pile alone, pulling back the tarp once more. This time, when she touched the surface, she was ready. The images came again, but clearer. She saw her husband, running, bleeding, carrying their son. Behind him, Soldiers with the Reaper symbol burned homes to ash. Then, one human, a mechanic, standing at a gate, opening it, welcoming him in. It was Callan. Rila gasped. He had saved them once before, saved her family, and never told her. And now, fate had brought her back to the same man. But this time she would fight. She let go of the machine and whispered, "I won't run again." Behind her, metal creaked softly in the wind, but it no longer scared her. Not now, not anymore. The next day felt too quiet. Rila swept the metal dust from Callan's workshop floor. Her child played near the wall with a toy wrench. The scrapyard hummed with its usual noise, clanks, sparks, engine whines, but something in the air felt wrong. Even Callan was more alert. He double-checked the front gate, tightened locks, turned off all public signals. Rila felt it too, that silence before a storm. She stood outside the shed, eyes watching the hills beyond the scrapyard fence. That's when she saw it, a shape, then two, then five, figures in black cloaks moving between the rocks, coming closer. They had come. She ran toward Callan. "They're here," she yelled. "5, no, maybe more." He dropped the tool in his hand. "Take your son. Go inside. Lock the doors. Don't come out. But now." Rila didn't argue. She grabbed her child and rushed into the shed. She pushed a cabinet in front of the door, then crouched low, pressing her son to her chest. "Stay quiet," she whispered, kissing his head. "No matter what happens, stay quiet." Outside, footsteps crunched the gravel. Voices spoke in a language she hadn't heard in years. Harsh, cruel, the Reaper clan, one of them shouted. "Where is the alien woman? We know she hides here." No answer. Then, boom. The front gate exploded open. Metal flew across the yard. They stepped in like shadows, weapons drawn. Rila clutched her child tighter. She could hear everything. Search the sheds. Kill the human if he gets in the way. Her son trembled. Rila placed her hand gently over his mouth. "I won't let them take you," she whispered. Suddenly, a loud crash shook the workshop. Callan. He didn't hide. He stood in the middle of the yard with a large metal bar in his hand, twice as long, as his arm and glowing at the tip. The Reapers stopped. One of them pointed. "You again?" he hissed. "You helped them before." Callan gave a quiet smile. "And I'll do it again." The Reaper charged. Callan moved faster. The glowing bar swung and smashed into the attacker's chest. He flew backward into a pile of scrap. 2 more came at him from both sides, but Callan didn't run. He fought, not like a mechanic, like a man who had fought before. Inside the shed, Rila knew it couldn't last. There were too many. Callan was strong, but not enough. She looked at her sleeping child, then at the heavy wrench on the floor. She picked it up and stood. She burst from the shed and ran toward the chaos. 2 Reapers spotted her. There she is. One raised his blaster. But Rila didn't stop. She ducked behind a metal wall just as the shot blasted past her head. She looked around, eyes sharp, searching. And then she saw it, the old fuel tank. Leaking. Bent. She grabbed a wire and tied it to the spark coil. "Let's see how you like this," she whispered. She threw the wire toward the tank. Boom. Fire lit the sky. Reapers screamed, scattered. Callan turned to see her standing tall in the flames. "You shouldn't be out here," he yelled. She picked up a metal rod and stood beside him. "I told you," she said. "I don't run anymore." Together, they fought back to back, the human and the alien widow. Rust flew. Sparks burned. Reapers fell. The last one looked at them, bleeding, and hissed, "This isn't over." Then he vanished into the smoke. After the fire cooled, Rila walked through the quiet scrapyard. Her clothes were torn, her arms bruised, but her eyes, fierce. She found her son safe, hiding just like she told him. She hugged him tight. Callan walked. Over slowly, holding his side, he was hurt but smiling. "You okay?" he asked. She nodded, then looked around. "We need stronger walls," he chuckled. "That we do," She turned to him. You saved me once. He shrugged. You returned the favor. She paused. No, she said. I chose to fight. He looked at her for a long moment, then said softly, You're stronger than most soldiers I've ever known. That night, Rila sat by the half-moon machine again. It glowed brightly now. She touched it. This time there were no screams, no war, just a soft, peaceful image. Her husband smiling, her child laughing, and a human standing with them, not as a stranger but as family. The scrapyard was quiet again. Smoke no longer rose from the burned fuel tanks. The twisted metal had been cleared. The broken fence had been patched with steel sheets, but the memory of the attack still lived in every corner. Rila walked carefully through the yard, checking on the machines, searching for anything out of place. Her son followed behind, dragging a little metal toy in the dirt. Callan hadn't said much since the fight. He worked all day, repairing the walls, sharpening tools, building motion sensors out of junk. Rila knew something was on his mind, something he wasn't saying, and she was ready to find out what. That evening, she found him in the back room of his workshop, wiping blood off his arm. You fought like a trained warrior, she said softly. Callan didn't look up. I used to be someone else, he replied. Who? He sighed and finally met her eyes. Before this scrapyard, I was a soldier, he said. Galactic Peace Corps, war zones, pirate raids, border patrols. Rila's eyes widened. Then why are you here hiding in rust? He leaned against the wall. I was stationed on a planet called Elmaris 9. There was a rebel village, civilians, children. My commander gave the order to burn it. Rila froze. What did you do? I refused. His voice was flat. Empty. They stripped my rank, marked me a deserter, said I was soft. I ran. I disappeared. He looked out the window. I built this place because I was tired of war. Tired of choosing who gets to live and who doesn't. Rila sat down beside him. You chose to save me. He nodded. And I'd do it again. For a while they sat in silence. Then Rila reached into her pocket. She pulled out a small metal disc with alien script carved on it. The memory core from the half-moon machine. It showed me something, she said. My husband, my home, but also you. Callan looked surprised. It recorded you, she continued. The day you helped him. When he ran through the back gates with our son, bleeding. Callan's breath caught. I remember, he said slowly. He collapsed, right there by the wall. He died that night, Rila whispered. But because of you, my son lived. Callan's jaw tightened. I didn't know he was your mate. You saved him. And now, you saved me. She held the disc in her hand. This memory proves everything. Callan's eyes narrowed. Proves what? That you're not a deserter, Rila said. You're a hero. The next day she went to work cleaning the front of the yard. She didn't expect trouble, but the moment she opened the gate, a small crowd was waiting. Angry eyes, folded arms, cold stares, mostly aliens, few humans. One shouted, You brought the Reapers here. Another growled, Because of you, my shop was attacked. Rila stood firm. My son and I were attacked first. They hunted us. We defended ourselves. You endangered us all, someone shouted. Go back to where you came from. Tatkoi, voices rose like fire. And then, Callan stepped out. Dirty gloves, grease-stained shirt, calm eyes. He didn't raise his voice. But when he spoke, the yard fell silent. She works here, he said. She earns her place, she defends it just like I do. Someone in the back shouted, She's just a refugee. Callan took one step forward, so was I. The crowd paused. I fought for people who looked like you, bled for planets I'll never see again, and when I said no to killing children, I was left to rot. He pointed to Rila. She didn't bring danger here, she stood beside me when it came. He stepped back and opened the gate wider. If that makes her unworthy, then maybe I am too. The crowd didn't answer. One by one, they turned and walked away. Later that night, Rila sat with her son under the stars. Callan joined them, handing her a warm cup of tea. "I've seen soldiers walk away from battle," she said. "But I've never seen one walk toward people who hate him, just to protect a stranger." "You're not a stranger," he said. She looked at him. "No," she replied, smiling. "Not anymore." In the distance, the half-moon machine pulsed. Once, faint and soft. It had seen everything. It had recorded something new now. Not pain, not fear, but courage and unity. The night before the next attack, Rila didn't sleep. She sat on the roof of the tool shed, eyes scanning the dark hills beyond. The scrapyard. She had a wrench in one hand, her child sleeping below and her thoughts sharper than ever. Callan had gone into town for parts. She told him she'd be fine. But something deep inside whispered, "They're coming back." Not just to scare. This time, to end it. And this time, Rila would be ready. At dawn, she woke before the sun. She wrapped her child in a blanket and hid him under the workbench. Gave him water, a snack, and strict orders. "Don't move no matter what you hear." She kissed his forehead. Then she walked out. Not as a beggar. Not as a refugee. But as a mother protecting her home. Rila worked fast. She wired old panels into makeshift shields, stacked scrap metal into barriers, turned fuel tubes into flame traps. She placed one near the front gate, one near the back wall, and one right next to the memory machine. "If they want to erase me," she whispered, "they'll have to walk through fire." And then they came. The sky turned dark with dust. 7 figures in black armor marched through the scrapyard gate, blasters raised. No talking this time. No warnings. One aimed straight at her. Rila didn't flinch. She pressed a button on her belt. Boom! The fuel trap exploded, sending smoke and heat flying. 2 Reapers were blown back into a pile of rust. She grabbed the metal pipe near her feet and ran behind the shield wall. Shots rained down, scrap cracked and sizzled, but she didn't run. She struck. One tried to climb the left side. She bashed his knee and sent him falling. Another leapt the barrier. She ducked and slammed the pipe into his side. She was smaller, weaker, but her rage was ancient, her love unbreakable. And then they found her child. 1 Reaper kicked the door to the workshop. The boy screamed. Rila's heart stopped. She turned and sprinted. But she wasn't fast enough. The shot fired, and something, or someone, jumped between the blast and the boy, Callan. He'd returned. Just in time. The shot burned into his shoulder, but he didn't fall. He picked up the attacker and slammed him against the wall. "Touch her child again," Callan growled, "and I'll melt your bones." Rila ran in, grabbed her child and pulled him to safety. But now the last 2 Reapers had her cornered. Their weapons buzzed. She had no shield. No fire, just a broken pipe and a bleeding friend. The Reapers laughed. "You were always weak," one spat. Rila looked at her son, then back at them, and stood tall. "No," she said. "I was only waiting to remember who I am." She stepped forward, eyes blazing. Voice firm. "You want to kill a widow? Do it. You want to erase a child? Try. But you'll never break us." She pressed her last trap button. Boom! The entire sidewall collapsed in flames, trapping the attackers inside a circle of heat. They screamed and ran, cowards, finally tasting fear. Rila dropped the pipe and fell to her knees, gasping. Her child ran into her arms. Callan limped over, one hand holding his burned shoulder. They didn't speak. They didn't need to. The yard stood quiet once more. Later, the town council arrived. Guards, doctors, reporters. Everyone wanted to know what happened, who had attacked, who had fought back, and who had stood when no one else would. Rila stood tall in front of them all, her arms bruised, her voice steady. She didn't ask for pity. She told the truth, everything from the day she begged in the market. to the moment she chose to fight. The memory machine beside her recorded every word, and when she finished, someone in the crowd clapped, then another, then everyone. That night, Callan sat beside her in the workshop. "I always thought this place was just scrap and rust," he said. Rila looked at her sleeping child and smiled. "No," she said softly. "It's where I found my strength." The scrapyard was no longer just piles of metal. It was something new now. It was home. It was proof that even the weakest can fight back, that even an alien widow and a quiet human could change everything. Weeks passed since the Reaper clan's last attack. They didn't return, not after Rila's stand, not after the town council declared the yard a protected site and gave Callan and Rila full rights to defend it. Her name spread through the outer colonies, the widow who fought fire. With scrap, people began coming not to attack but to ask for repairs, tools, and advice. Some brought broken machines, some brought broken hearts, all left with hope. Rila no longer cleaned floors. She ran the front gate. She greeted visitors. She organized parts, taught others how to build, and trained young aliens, especially mothers who had nothing. She gave them what she once begged for, a chance. Her son laughed again. He played in the dirt with children from 3 different species. He wasn't the widow's boy anymore. He was just a boy, safe, happy, free. And Callan? He had changed too. He still wore oil-stained shirts and old gloves, but something in his eyes had softened. He smiled more, talked more, listened more, and always watched Rila with quiet pride. One evening, after the yard closed and the last fire drum was lit, Callan sat across from Rila. Stars blinked above. Her son slept in her lap. "You could leave now," Callan said gently. "You don't owe me anything." Rila looked down at her child, then back at Callan. "I'm not staying because I owe you," she said. "I'm staying because I've never belonged anywhere like I belong here." He nodded slowly. After a pause, he said, "The council offered to expand the scrapyard, add real walls, solar roofs, living quarters." She smiled. "Fancy." "They asked who should lead it." Callan looked at her directly. "I gave them your name." Rila froze. "Me?" "You've earned it," he said. "This place runs because of you." She was quiet for a moment, then said softly, "I started here as a worker. I thought I was a burden, just another mouth to feed. And now," she added, "I've found something more." A soft wind blew. She looked into his eyes. "Family." He reached forward and gently took her hand. "You've always been that." Later that night, Rila stood before the memory machine. One last time. She placed her palm on its smooth surface. It glowed, warm and golden. Not blue, not broken. Alive. It didn't show war this time, or pain. It showed her, holding her child, smiling, standing beside Callan and people, many kinds, walking into the scrapyard together, helping, healing, building. The machine recorded everything, the fall, the rise, the love. In the days that followed, a new sign was placed at the scrapyard's entrance. Hayes and Rila Rebuild Station, all are welcome. Some asked if they were business partners, some whispered they were more. But Rila never explained. She just stood tall in her work coat, her child beside her, her hands strong. No longer a beggar, no longer afraid, no longer alone. She was the mother who stayed, the widow who stood, the worker who became a leader, and the woman who found something greater than survival. She found family.